This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Matt Macklin in person for the first time in about 2 years.
Time,
Matt, how are you doing?
Pre-COVID.
How are things going, Matt? You good?
Yeah, good, man. Listen, we were just saying to a couple of people, isn't it great to be back with a crowd and atmosphere and have these, I know listen, COVID, we had to do what we had to do, and the bubble was the bubble, but you can't beat being back with the media workout, the press conferences, and having all the media people here.
You're back, as you say, and 60,000 fans on Saturday night. How excited are you to see an atmosphere like that first one in a long time in the UK?
Can't wait. I mean, I was lucky enough that we had the Purewal fight with 1,000 people in, which was, at that time, we were kind of buzzing because we'd spent the last year having no crowd at all, and it was weird, boxing, behind closed doors, no crowd. It was difficult, and difficult for the fighters. Obviously, the fighters are the most important people, no atmosphere. But even as a commentator, it was hard to try and, replicate the energy. It was difficult, but really looking forward to Saturday. I think it's a really intriguing matchup between Usyk and Joshua. Good card as well. But the fact that there's going to have 60,000 people in there, I can't wait for that atmosphere to feel it again.
AJ gave absolutely nothing away during that workout. He was only ringing for a couple of minutes, a little shadow boxing, if you will. But what did you take from seeing him in the ring? Did he look light to you, as we saw in a couple of photos a few weeks ago? Yeah,
I mean, he's still a big geezer compared to me, so he still looks big. But yeah, he looked lean. He looked lean, he looked lean, he looked well, and I've obviously been following him on social media and different things we've seen and seeing what kind of shape he's in. And do you know what? I think if you look back at maybe some of the fights earlier with Takam and the likes, where he come in sort of 18 stone and that, I think he was probably a little bit too bulky. And since the Ruiz one fight, the second fight, he came in a lot lighter, noticeably lighter, was way more mobile. Used the ring better, was patient, and again against Pulev, we've seen a more patient Joshua, because he hurt him, he went for it a bit, and then eased back. So that was good experience. You see that you got to learn when to go and when not to go. I think he's coming at a good time for Joshua. I think this fight he's coming at a good time for him. He's experienced now. He's more experienced now. He's made adjustments in his training camp. He's lost that extra bit of bulk, which I think has made him more nimble, more agile, more mobile, and also, when you're carrying a lot of muscle requires a lot of oxygen. So I think he's going to be more durable as well.
I've asked everyone, I'm going to ask you as well, Matt, those first few rounds for AJ, how important is it that he tries to assert a bit of dominance, doesn't allow Oleksandr to settle into a rhythm, and then vice versa for Oleksandr, how important is it that he can do so in those first few rounds?
For Joshua, I think it's important that he's assertive but not reckless. So he's got to come out full of intent, but he doesn't need to be gung-ho. In fact, it would be a mistake to be gung-ho, and I don't think he will be. I think he'll come out. I think he'll look to try and take the centre of the ring, but I think he'll be very much trying to get his distance, trying to get his timing, use his feints, try and see what Usyk's going to do, and just try and get a read of him. I think it'll be cagey, the opening few rounds. Usyk's a slow starter anyway. He's someone that likes to come out, get you working. He likes to drain your battery first half, and then he goes to work in the second half. So that's what I expect. I think the first few rounds, I think it could be quite cagey.
Obviously got Callum Smith returning up at 175. What are you expecting to see from him in this bout?
His first fight up at 175. First fight with Buddy McGirt. I think that's been a good move for him. He obviously had a great run with Joe Gallagher, but they've gone their separate ways now. But I think Buddy McGirt was a smart move. Didn't surprise me at all. Obviously, me and Paul are good mates. We stay in touch, and so I knew it was happening. And I thought it was a good move for him. He's Callum's like a perfectionist, and he's absolutely textbook, well-schooled textbook. And Buddy's very textbook, and he's a perfectionist as well. So they're probably a perfect match, to be honest.
There's a lot of exciting names in that 175 division domestically, but if you're in Callum Smith's shoes, you were the former number one at super middleweight. Would he be interested in any of those other names, or is he simply have this one, maybe one more just beneath world level, and try and secure a world title shot?
I think, look, he'll have this fight at 175. It's his first fight with a new trainer as well. But this is a former world champion. You know, he doesn't really need a rebuild or anything. You know what I mean? I don't think that needs to happen. He's massive for super middleweight. He was. He probably should have moved up before the Canelo fight. But obviously, he got the Canelo fight, so he stayed there. Now, I think I look at the light heavyweight division, and you're obviously looking domestically: Anthony Yarde, Lyndon Arthur, Callum Johnson, Buatsi. But, you know, Callum Smith, having been at world level, does he really want to come back down and fight those guys? I doubt it. I think he's probably thinking, let's get a win here and let's see if I can fight, you know, Bivol or Joe Smith, one of these guys. That's what I would be thinking if I was Callum Smith. Failing that, then maybe, you know, depending what the money is and what the circumstances are, maybe he would fight a Yard or a Lyndon Arthur. But I doubt it. I don't think so. I think most likely Callum Smith will look to fight for a world title after this.
Obviously, Lawrence Okolie returning as well to defend his world title. His mandatory challenger, what are you expecting to see from Lawrence?
I'll be honest, he is his mandatory challenger, but I don't know how he is his mandatory challenger. I looked down his record. He hasn't really beaten anyone of any note. He's undefeated. So, look, he's undefeated. That's all you can really say. He hasn't beaten anyone where we can say, oh, we can gauge where he's at. But Okolie, you know, coming into this fight as a new world champion, coming off a fantastic performance, he's confident to be through the roof. And to be honest, I'm expecting an early finish for Okolie. I think he's going to be explosive. I think he's going to knock this guy out early.
And there was just a couple of things that I wanted to get your thoughts on. I know you're not a part of it, but just seen some reports that DAZN are on the verge of potentially buying out BT Sport. What's your take on it?
I think it probably makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, for them to be on a linear platform, which makes it a lot more accessible to people that don't know. We're in boxing, so we just assume that everyone knows what the DAZN is, but the amount of people I've spoken to that aren't familiar, because, you know, they're just your casuals. They probably watch 2 or 3 fights a year. You know, those type of people that haven't heard of the DAZN. You know, we're immersed in it, so the DAZN's a staple part of our diet. Do you know what I mean? Because we've been watching it for however long now. Look, I think if they do buy BT, that will be a smart business move. Depending on what they have to pay for it, I don't know. But the fact that they're on a linear platform, a proper TV platform that Joe Public is familiar with, that can only be a good thing.
And finally, Dillian Whyte-Wallin was also announced for October 30th. Can I just want to get your thoughts on that fight?
Good fight. Listen, fair play to Dillian. He rolls the dice, doesn't he? Not that I think he's rolling the dice. I think he's a strong favourite in that fight. But you know what I mean. He doesn't take any easy fights, does he? So, but you know what? I think that's what's made him improve the way he has as well. So, good fight. Definitely fancy him to win it. But it's a good fight. Yeah.
Right, Matt, we'll leave it then. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure I'll try and pester you for another interview later this week, because who knows where the next time I see you will be. So thank you for your time, and thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
No worries. Cheers, mate. Nice.